أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته and Alhamdulillah once again we are back with our third show for 13 Rivers Community Show inshallah live Facebook streaming inshallah. Yeah, today we've got a fantastic opportunity to bring some very key personalities back from the blast from the past, bring them back to the forefront. Most of us are dinosaurs. My apologies, we were late because a lot of the dinosaurs we've been trying to get on the show, get all our technical side right. So even then, I'm at fault at the moment because my internet is playing up. So you might be seeing me doing the $6 million man slow motion show. Yeah, I've got my co-host brother Abu Mumin with us, so he's going to be helping me. So time to time he's going to come and jump in. Yeah, very quickly. Yeah. So as you can see, there's all these famous blasts from the past. You got them. Yeah. Three of them basically got no hair. One of them's definitely got some hair, you know. I've got my hair, but I've gone all grey. Okay. Just before we come to everyone, very quick apology. Our brother, famous brother, from Brick Lane, who's supposed to be here. Basically, unfortunately, he's ended up in some difficulty. I wish him a safe journey wherever he's going. Yeah, but he most likely won't be able to come and join us. But if he gets a chance to see us, then he can call in. Yeah, Motob from Brick Lane. Okay, I'm not going to mention which restaurant he belongs to, but he's in there somewhere in Brick Lane. Everyone should know him, mashallah. And also brother Emdad, he's given us apology. He might be joining us a bit later on because he's got a friend bereavement taking place in himself and that family. He's a very busy brother, but mashallah, he'll join us soon. So what I need everyone to do before I introduce my guests today, I need everyone who's watching us now, you're going to play a big part today, okay? And that role is you're going to share straight away. Take the link, okay, and share it on Facebook, share it on your Instagram, share it and take the copy and share it on WhatsApp, spread it around. Let's get as many people watching as possible. What we want to do is we want to get a lot of youngsters and teenagers on board, inshallah. Please, if you're a young person, you've seen all these old people on the screen. We're not old. I'm telling you, yeah, we're not old. We're just like grey, no hair. But if you get to know us, you'll know us. We're not old. We're still very young. We're probably teenagers ourselves. Yeah. We're just disguising old people's brilliant hair and whatever. Yeah. So that's that. Please share, brothers and sisters. You probably realise that. We don't have any sisters on the show at the moment. I've tried to contact various different sisters due to the timing and also various different other reasons. They promised us they're going to come on some future shows, inshallah, yeah? So we'll have them on the future show. Some of them are going to call in. But obviously, as you can see, Mulberry Girls' School isn't being represented here. Central Foundation isn't being represented here. But hopefully, we'll be able to cover all the schools. And if you're not in the studio, you can just call us. You can also message us. Yeah, the message boxes are there. The telephone number will come up and you can call us as well. So that's the background. My co-host, Brother Abu Mumin, how are you, brother, today? Have you recovered yet?
Alhamdulillah. You probably know I've got COVID-19. My entire family has COVID-19. And tomorrow, inshallah, I'm coming out into the world. My 10 days is over. Inshallah, I'm really.
Right, listen. Where did you get 10 days? It's 14 days.
No, hold on. If you have COVID-19, if you have it, you have to isolate for 10 days. If you go as a carrier and you go and infect someone, that person has to be in for 14 days.
That's the weird one.
If the symptom, listen, I know about this. Yeah, I'm really pleased. Those 10 days I suffered, but anyway, alhamdulillah. I just want to give you some key facts. I'm going to try to do the warm up session for you elderly young brothers. Alhamdulillah. So we're going to be starting on that soon. But I just want to give you some key facts. This is our third show. Guess what? Last week we had over 10,000 people watching this video, and we're expecting this show. We're gonna get more than 10,000 people who will watch it. So, Nana, Brother Kosru, yeah, you guys.
You've already done it.
Monza, you've done your hair.
Yeah, brother, it's all there. Still got a bit of it left.
All right, okay. Abjol, you tell me when I can start my questions.
No, most definitely. Well, let's quickly introduce our brothers here very quickly. Yeah. So we've got brother
Inshallah.
Uddin. He's there right there beneath me. MashaAllah. Kosru bhai, how are you?
Assalamu alaikum to everyone. I'm not sure if you can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
loud and clear.
Everyone. So the hosts, Abjol, thank you for inviting me onto the show. Abu, thank you for inviting us onto the show. So salam to everyone out there. I'm okay, thank you. I'm just trying to stay safe and well. I have heard that Abu did have COVID. I get worried because during the early stages, myself and my family, we had it quite bad. We lost a couple of relatives, so I'm very cautious now and very conscious as well. So alhamdulillah, all right at the moment, and quite really happy to be on this show.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept
Great,
your
Kosru bhai.
relatives who passed away, who passed away as shaheed. Just wanted to ask you, Kosru bhai, which school did you go to?
I went to, now for our younger viewers out there, they won't even know this school. It is Robert Montefiore Secondary School. It's
Oh my goodness, are you that old?
I am indeed. I am. But most people might recognize the school as Usmani Primary School. So that used to be my secondary school, believe it or not.
Okay. Abjol, over to you.
MashaAllah, Kosru bhai. Well done. Jazakallah for coming on the show. Yes. Jazakallah, Kosru bhai, for coming on the show. Obviously, Kosru bhai played a major role in various different ways in the community. We'll come to that bit later on. On my far left, which is the other way, okay, past Abu bhai, you got brother Helal Ahmed bhai is there. He's there right there. Look, he's got his thumb up there. Look, MashaAllah. Helal bhai, how are you? And welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you for having us on the show. But
Good,
can I let
fantastic.
a little secret out?
Yeah, go on.
I was going to let a little
Yes.
secret out. The reason why most people don't remember Robert Montefiore, they closed it because there's too many Bengalis there.
That's
Yeah.
actually a fact.
That's right.
That is actually a fact, people. So I won't argue with that. I'll tell you a bit about when we speak later, but that's actually a fact. That is why they closed the school, because what used to happen
Great,
is,
excellent. We will talk.
yeah, we'll talk about it a bit later, but I'll explain why that came about. It's quite interesting.
Mm.
Yeah.
No.
It
Helal
will
bhai,
not be
thank you for
allowed
reminding us.
now.
That's how we need your brain to bring all these things from the
That's
past.
fine. I'll
inshallah,
trigger them all
Okay,
and come back to you. You talk.
Yeah, inshallah. Good. Okay, so let's go to brother Monza Ahmed as well. He's there just patiently waiting.
Abjol,
Can you
can
see
I
us,
just
Monza?
ask? Abjol, can I just ask Helal, which school did you go to?
St. Paul's Way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what my school uniform was?
Huh?
Green bomber jackets, denim
Yeah, go on.
jeans, and 16 high for your Dr. Martens.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go to brother Monza Ahmed. He's right there at the bottom of the corner, mashallah. Monza, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, bro. How you doing? MashaAllah. Lovely to see all the brothers there, MashaAllah. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
Thanks for having us.
What? Wa alaikum salam. Monza, welcome on board, mashallah. Yeah, there are many brothers and sisters who probably are not at the show, but if you can get on and invite your friends. So if you're from any of the schools, for example, St. Paul's Way, Range, Daneford, I'm sure people remember Daneford School as well. If you don't remember Daneford, yeah, Google it.
Yeah.
You know, it was one of the favorite schools.
Yes, I used to go to
Monza, which school did you go to?
I used to go St. Peter's and then Stepney. When I was there.
Fantastic. Okay.
That's the bunking.
I'm a serial offender
brothers and sisters,
for bunking.
What's that?
We
Serial
will talk
offender
about
for the bunking subjects that you got on there.
All right. Okay. Right.
we will talk about bunking very soon. Yeah. So.
All right. Okay.
So Once again, brothers and sisters, please do call us, okay? So you can actually take part in the show as well. We may have some technical delays, so we're going to try our best to kind of like make it easy for everyone. But you can communicate with us. You can text us, leave a message. We'll read the messages there. If you can't get through on the telephone line, leave us a message. And if you can get through on the telephone line, inshallah, call us. Number to call us is 008 12345. 07. Yeah, you can see it on the screen. Make a note. Call in. Tell us your stories in your schools. Yeah, what happened when you were there at that school? Did you go to Daneford School? Did you actually go to Montefiore School as well? Yeah. Any of you in Globetown, you went to Morpeth. Tell us about Morpeth. Yeah. Tell us what happened in Mulberry Girls School. Yeah. Tell us what happened in Central Foundation during those period of time. Yeah. So it's a good way to connect all our friends and everyone together. But let the new generation see. So Abu Bay, all yours with your fantastic Darun, hard-hitting, smashing, sweat-bubbling kind of questions.
Okay. By the way, I used to go Rains.
Oh, yours.
We had the brains.
That was the brain.
Striped shirts.
Well, I bunked off a few times, but you know.
Yeah. Go on in.
Anyway, the first question is for all of you. Yeah.
Okay.
What's your favorite COVID lockdown exercise at home? I know Kosru, you're the martial arts, so you start first. Inshallah, you have a minute.
It's strange. So when I had it, I was so weak that exercise was the last thing on my mind. But I knew how to do it. So squats was the one, believe it or not, I used to do. I found that quite easy, and blood circulation was actually, it was good for blood circulation. So I used to do that because you could just get off the bed and just do it. So that I did a few of those, and that's why I used to do it.
Oh, alhamdulillah. Okay. Jazakallah khair. Monza, it's your same question. What's your favorite? Now tell us the truth. Have you been exercising?
Netflix, Chris. You name it. You know, like cooking though.
I like that. He's been honest. I like that. He bunks up and he's exercising Netflix. Hey, Chris.
Chin wag.
All right. Same question to Nana. Your volume is gone.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So my answer is similar to Monza's initially, and my younger daughter's been pulling me to the gym 7 o'clock in the morning.
Cool. You don't look like a gym type.
I'm not. It's called children's influence.
All right. Alhamdulillah. That's good. All right. Now it's a single question, to each one of you. So I'll come to Helal. Are you a Farah or a wax man? Trousers man? Which one? Which one are you?
Oh, it's Farah.
So you like Farah, not wax man?
They were too expensive.
Is it?
Yeah.
You guys can answer, but when I come to your question. All right. Kosru, can you name 4 main organizations in Tower Hamlets during the 80s and the 90s?
The one that springs to mind straight away is PYO, BYM, I think there's BYF, Bangladesh's Front, and the YMO.
Yeah. They were there.
The biggest one. YMO was the biggest one, and then PYO were the ones that you want to be part of.
And don't forget Youth Connection.
Yeah, no, that's afterwards.
Yeah.
BYM was there as well.
You used to remember, we used to run away from the YMO brothers.
I know, yeah. They used to come and knock on the doors and say, "Can you let your son come out?" And we used to go around to the door.
Yeah.
Listen,
right,
what does YMO stand for?
Young Muslim Organization.
That's Monza.
All right, Monza's question.
Tell me right.
Monza.
Yeah,
Monza.
bro. Yeah, go for it.
If you were invited by the Queen to take part in the Olympic Games, which sports would you compete in?
Mate, I was to say I was already bunking off, weren't I?
Yeah.
That would have been a sweet move, you know, just a getaway. But maybe what sport? Finger
100
sport?
meters.
Kabaddi, Gulgutti.
Is it? Wow.
Introduce
Well.
something new.
All right. Okay. Now that you're all warmed up, yeah, the serious question to all of you, and you'll have 1 minute to answer. Al-Tabali was murdered on 4th of May 1978. It was an election. It was a local election day, by the way. Around that time, election time, the fascists used to come out. It used to be get the Pakis, get the, smash their heads. What were you guys doing on this day? Kosru bhai, you start first.
You know, I'll be honest. I was quite young, believe it or not, at that time. 78, I was about, I think, 11, 12 years old. I was in school in Robert Montefiore that day, I think, or doing something, but I was not anywhere near Al-Tabali Park. And the other thing, the strange thing is, although all of that was happening at that time, I wasn't familiar about the Al-Tabali situation until I was much older. So although it happened during our time, we were kind of shielded from it and not really involved in that. So I think I would have been at school if it was a school day. If it wasn't, I'd probably been at home.
All right. Okay, Jazakallah. All right, Helal. Same question.
I was up in the northeast. Couldn't speak Bengali properly.
What do you mean English? English?
Yeah. I was in a little village, innit, up there.
Okay.
So no connection with too many black people at all. And like Kosru was saying, I think the Al-Tabali story was something that I picked up later on in life.
Okay. Monza, you must have been a little nipper.
I was 5 years old, bro. So at 5, yeah, and I used to live in Wapping. So if anybody knows Wapping, they used to have a skinhead headquarters down there, right down behind Flower Park. Yeah. At that time. And there were a lot of villains in Wapping, you know, so it was really racist. At that time, it was different. It was dark. It was crimson. It's not like how it is now. Everything was dark. There was warehouses, a lot of dumps, alleyways, pebble streets, you name it. Wapping's got it. So we were sort of shut off from the rest. After the highway, you open up to the rest of the Bengali community. So I think there was only about 6 Asian families in Wapping at that time. And you probably know a lot of the guys who lived there at that time. So it was very close knit. So what I did witness at that time, I think my dad had about 2 or 3 fights with skinheads. He saved another Bengali guy outside the pub. So it was really on top, and serious villains there.
You know what? Wapping was a no-go area. Same question to Abjol bhai. Abjol bhai, what were you doing around that time?
Yeah, go on. Well, right now I was a hostage, innit? I was trapped in a house. We moved into Hollywood house, and the first day we moved in, I was a little kid then, similar to Monza, and me, my brother, my sister, my mum and dad. We got our first council property, and we're moving into Hollywood house in Bethnal Green. We're the first family in that area. Second family in the area, and straight away our house got attacked. So a couple of hours we were trapped in the house. My mum and dad were fighting. They tried to knock on the door, get in the house, and obviously the dog came out, and my mum and dad had to force them and keep them out. And for a couple of hours they were shooting pellet guns on the window because all the windows were boarded up and that. So we were kind of stuck in the house for hours. It was very traumatic. Most of the skinheads would used to come up and down that area. My dad used to have regular fights with my older cousin brothers and uncles. So we just moved from Stepney to Bethnal Green. So that's my recollection at that period of time, and it's in my memory. I know we were like traumatized indoors. I've never forgotten it, and there's more I can say, but obviously, we will talk about that later.
Okay, all right. Just my part. We lived in Poplar, and we were coming from moving from Poplar to Cannon Street Road. And the reason why we were moving was every week our flat in Poplar was, the windows were getting smashed. And basically, the reason why we were moved by the council is the racists used to, in one of they smashed our window with a massive boulder. The road signs they used to have before, and they used to have a concrete slab. They chucked all of that in our window, and it almost killed my two brothers who were sleeping. They were babies at that time. And we were moving, and that's when Al-Tabali, we heard about it. And at that time we were getting smacked around left, right, and center with kids. And I heard about it, and he lived near Bernard State, Delafield House. And everybody was shocked. Okay, just my last question, and that is to Helal. Can you tell us? I mean, when you told me this story, I was so fascinated. You used to do the 100-meter sprint. We heard you were the fastest Bengali alive.
The only bloody Bengali sprinting down Badet Road from St. Paul's School.
Right. Tell us about that 100-meter sprint.
Listen, those days, you know what? We used to say Kolima before we left the house to go to school in the morning.
Yeah.
And Badet Road, Poplar, in those days, early 80s, people would tell Bengali parents off for moving to those places if they got off of the house. And we was in West Ferry, so I went to St. Paul's Way, but that road, that junction, there used to be a pub and a cafe there. And you had to do that 100 meters past there, or you was getting paint thrown on you, you was getting a brick on your head, or someone was going to thump you. And that's what it was.
So basically, they were waiting to do packy bashing as soon as the little kids finished school.
They weren't waiting, they were just getting on with their daily stuff and then packy bashing with it.
All right, so we were the extra on the side.
We were the extra curriculum.
Oh, bloody hell.
Guys, let me just tell you a story. I remember when Helal was a youth worker, and there was a story where we went to another youth worker, he was moving, and we went down there, it was Canning Town.
Oh, Faz's.
Yeah, that's it, Faz's. And then I was kicking off with these guys, and I think there was about 4 of them anyway. They were like,
but you forgot to tell them it's Canning Town.
Yeah, Canning Town racist. You get me? But the way they were talking, everything's sweet. All right, lovely, jubbly. Kicked off. Everyone's holding me back, and I'm thinking, what's going on? You know what I mean? Let me go. And hell, and everyone's holding me. Yeah. Next minute, the geezer's letting off now. He's going racist. They goes, yeah, let Monz go. Right. So they let me go. And the geezers, they started running, so I'm sprinting down. Next minute, Helal whizzes past me, that's why I witnessed, man, he can run. He's gone past me. I was running behind him, he cleared it from behind me and got to him before me. He was trying to sweep him, you get me? Then we sweep them and everything, and they all kicked off. They gone run in the pub, and then all the pub got involved and whatever, But just a witness to say I've seen his sprint.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, just if any of the young people who are listening, if you think I'm talking all hot air about my story and their stories, they did a whole documentary on ITV on all the racist attack, including my family. They even showed that big rock. Yeah. So it's not really made up. It's actually, it happened. Anyway, I'm done, Abjol. Over to you.
Let me tell you. I used to go to. Good. I used to go to Morpeth. I was one of the first 10 Bengalis in that school. Some
Which
people,
school?
when I was in my primary school, now I tell you, this is quite interesting. I went to St. John's Primary School. Yeah, and I thought I was English. Yeah, and guess what? I actually read the Bible before I read the Quran. Yes. Yeah. All I can remember is my mum reading the Quran. Okay, but when I went to the primary school, I had to read the Bible. I know my Kumbaya, my Lord, all the songs, most of the songs, and we had to go to the church. Yeah, and I actually got caned for not singing it when I realized that maybe I'm not supposed to sing it. Yeah, so what we used to do is we used to move our mouth so that we didn't get the cane. Yeah, when I was little, we used to get the gym shoe and get the cane as well. So when I moved into the secondary school, most of my friends were non-Bengalis, and I got along with them quite well. Yeah, so I didn't have no problems in the secondary first year and second year. But most of the Bangladeshis who came in, kind of like from Bangladesh, quite new, they were a bit lost. So when they went in the playground, they couldn't even put their foot on the playground where the other kids were playing football. As soon as they put their foot on there, they would have got rushed and got beaten up. It was only in the third year that the school went on a bit of a rebellion, and then we did fight back, and then kind of like we started battle. So my bunking off at that time was actually bunking off when there was fights taking place outside when we were mobilizing in Barmy Park. I had some photographs of it as well. So I remember one incident where we had about 150 brothers came to help us at Montefiore School from Stepney Green School, John Cass,
St. Paul's Way,
Daneford, St. Paul's Way. They all came, mashallah. I've got to say, I used to be really, really proud when they used to come. The brothers from Bethnal Green. And we also had some brothers who were mixed race. English and Bengali. They used to come and help us as well. And I remember one incident on Globe Road. There was 150 of us on the other side of Globe Road. Yeah, right, waiting to rush to school, basically. Yeah. So what normally used to happen is we used to rush from the back gates, go in, and then obviously, whatever happened, and everyone did their skirmishes and come at the front gate. Yeah. So in this particular one, I'm not going to name the year and the date that took place. Yeah. We came there, and then everything was quiet, and suddenly some of the lads see about 10 or 15 kind of like white boys just near the staircase in an estate. So the brothers go, the chance are on, the chances here, right, 150 of us, United Arab, we're going to rush them, yeah. And guess what? First there was 15, then there was about 20. We had no clue there was about 500 of them behind the estate. 500 of them behind the estate, yeah. These were not like teenagers, like we're little kids, yeah. Like, look, I remember I was like 13 years old. These are men. These were the BMPs from Roman Road, okay, and they came down to help out. They're like football hooligans, yeah. So when we saw their size, 150 of us, we said, well, it's not 100 of them, it's not 200 of them, yeah. While we're contemplating, the others started to run, okay? So everyone now running from back of Globe Road all the way up to Stepney, skirmishing through Barmy Park. We got scattered that day, like, unbelievably. Mashallah, no one got caught, yeah? I managed to jump over a wall that I think you can never jump over today, yeah? Because when I was little, I used to do all these jumping from one building to another building when I was escaping from, like, racist attacks and that, yeah? And nowadays, in the modern day, they call it free running. I actually invented free running without realizing. Yeah, that was the incident. I'll tell you good ones afterwards. Yeah, there's loads of good ones. Now, what this embarrassing thing was, guess which brothers got caught by the police regularly at these kind of conflicts when they were happening? Anyone? Which school got singled out? Yeah, well,
Stepney Green.
Rain was so camouflaged. Okay,
they wouldn't let us out, bro. They wouldn't let us out.
Like, didn't help us out at all.
Daneford. Is it Daneford?
Daneford never got into trouble. Okay. Stepney Green would always people pick them up. You know why the police pick them up? They came to the battle to fight with their school uniform on.
Yeah.
But that's because the school had school uniform. Other schools didn't wear uniforms. Remember that?
Yeah.
Can I ask Kosru bhai?
Yeah.
It would be interesting to hear about that. Is it Montefiore School?
Robert Montefiore, yeah.
Yeah.
It's strange. So
Oh, by the way, before you do that, are you a waxman or Farah man?
You know what? Just like Halal, my dream was waxman, but I could only afford a Farah. So I go to, and that shop, Davis, on the corner of New Road.
New Road.
To sell. I go and buy the Farah from them while I'm looking at the waxman. And I do remember one time my mom and dad actually gave me enough money to buy a waxman. I think I kept that for years and years and years. It was just, it was the thing at that time. So there's my.
You know what Hoss did? He took the W sign off the lapel and he put him on the other trousers when he wore them.
I've done that because at that time, even though we were young, you all know we used to do machining because after school it was off to work kind of thing. So I was quite good at machining. So I used to get these labels off the Farah and everything else, stick them on the other trousers, cheap trousers, a quid from somewhere, stick the Farah label and just wear
to leave.
Yeah, that was it kind of thing.
The reason I'm asking,
yeah.
the first ever waxman I managed to afford, my parents gave it. 1 week later, it was Eid time. I got into a fight and I tore it. That was so sad. Anyway, your story about Montefiore School.
I mean, Rahman Montefiore School, strangely, right, totally opposite to all you guys. Our school was the only all Bengali, totally male mixed school in the whole of Hamlet. So it started,
in the whole country, mate.
I know, but it started off with a good mixture when we first went in. And what used to happen was the other schools were quite notorious. Stepney Green, John Cass, Daneford, for kids getting beaten up. So as soon as people started arriving from Bangladesh, they automatically started going into Montefiore School because they heard that you don't go in there. Slowly, standards absolutely dropped. No one could speak English, to the point one guy went to school with a longi on, and I'm not even joking. He actually did the whole of his journey with a longi on. That was the main point, I think it was. They made a decision. It was on the news, actually. I still got a clip. It was on the news, and they said that the education of that school had deteriorated so much that the teachers could not cope anymore. Therefore, they had to make a decision. And the decision was that because no new people were coming in other than Bengalis who could not speak English at all, they couldn't cope. So they closed it after the year after us. So, Fazal and all of them lot from Brick Lane, they were the last year there. And our year was, my cousin from East London Mosque. So we were in the same class. All of us were that was our year, and the school closed just after our year. So although there was not much trouble in our school, our issues were going to school and back. That journey was a mission. It was like playing gladiators and trying to get through. You had your hot spots, a bit like what Helal said. You knew where you were going to get beaten up kind of thing. So you either avoided, stopped, waited, or you ran, that kind of thing, So Abjol.
Okay, before we get Helal in, I think I used to go to school. Guess how I used to go to school here, right? I used to have a bag. I didn't wear the school uniform. I used to put my shin guards on my legs, football shin guards. I used to get 2 shin guards, put them on my wrist as well. I used to wear a cricket box as well. And I used to get a maths textbook and I used to put it in my belt, put a belt there, and I used to put it on my stomach. Yeah. So when I used to get rumbled, I was able to kind of like take some beats here and there and cover myself up here and there. Yeah. Yes, it was very traumatic. Yeah, but it was quite normal. It was like going to school quite normal. You made sure you did your prayers. Time as well. Yeah, you made sure you did your prayers on time. Parents were worried. People come back from school as well. So, it was those good old days where, you got a bit of, licks, hits here and there. And it was kind of normal until obviously, like, we started to fight back and rebel back. So I want to say a funny story before, we go to Helal. Yeah, there was a big game changer in Morpeth School. Now, I was instrumental in taking the whole school on strike. First time ever. It was the LEA, I think, at that time. Yeah, I said, I'll stuff all that. Yeah, so we decided, we got some leaflets out and said, look, we're not going to go to school no more. I've got some help from other community leaders and activists, and we did our supplementary classes in Oxford House, where we got some teachers. They came and helped us, but we boycotted the school for a couple of days until the governing body brought us in and wanted to ask us why we were doing this, and we said, look, it's not safe for us to come to school, because if you got like these national fronts coming into school and like loosening their dogs on us and they're beating us up on the streets, it's not safe for us to come. So then they changed some policy in the LEA as well. Now, one of the funny things is, in the third year, a new brother came from Stock Newton, and he came and started. It was very hardcore. He taught all the kids how to swear, basically. Yeah. So he brought all the swear words from Newton. At that time, they called him a flash packy. And the first day he came, he went around beating up white boys in the school. Like literally, he would go down the corridor, pick a boy, punch him in the face. So he was quite offensive. He wasn't a defensive person. He first came to school and started attacking other kids, that he felt they were troublemakers and looking at him. And then from that day onward, the rebellion kind of started. We saw him as a strength. He had so many fights, which I don't want to go into now, but, he used to fight. He actually broke one teacher's hand in the scuffle where we had to fight about 30 kids in a hall, about 6 of us, and he punched one of them through him, and then he broke the teacher's hand. Many, many years later, me reflecting back on this, like how was he so strong, and how was he able to like punch one and knock 2, 3 people over at the same time? It only occurred to me many, many years later that when he first came to this country, his age was more higher. So he was older than 16 years old. Where I'm like,
I'm sure that was normal. That was normal.
4 years younger.
Yeah, so most of the kids, he was like throwing them around everywhere. He was like a grown adult. Yeah, he was a grown adult. Yeah, and he didn't realize how far he was.
We had quite a few of those in our school.
Plenty.
We used to wonder, they used to have the moustache and beard and everything. You think, how old are they? They were really strong.
Full beard.
Proper, with a moustache and everything.
Yeah. Wait, we got messages. Can we go to the messages now?
Yeah. Let Helal make a comment, or Monza.
About what?
Yeah, I mean,
I just want to say, Monza, your area, Wapping, man, is really.
I'm just
bad.
hearing the brother out, and I can relate to what Abjol's talking about, because I was a choir boy, I was the altar boy. You know what I mean? I used to do the frankincense at the top of the altar and all things like that. So I was always all right for a packy in Wapping. You know what I mean? So that's what it was said all the time. He's all right for a packy, he don't smell, but the rest do, things like that. So it was common. I used to hear it all the time. Actually, I got my name, Monza. My dinner ladies gave me that name, and it just started spreading like wildfire. In Wapping, everyone knows me as that name. If you tell my real name, Monzur, Monzur, or nobody knows me for that name. So that started very young. So when you said like when other people are coming in and they're coming on the scene, when I started seeing other Bengalis, it was difficult because I was sort of accepted borderline. I was part of the clique because I grew up with everyone. There was all my age, went from nursery all the way through. So I was aware of all the families there. A lot of the families knew me and things like that.
Okay.
So
Monza, can I just tell you about your area? We played. Do you remember the Metropolitan Police Finals?
Yes.
It's a police tournament. We got to the finals. And it was played in that sports center in Wapping.
Yeah.
Orwell Center.
Yeah. Basically, none of our parents came to the final. They were busy working or whatever. Right? We were playing one of the Teviot teams. The Teviot team. They hated packies, man. They hated us with vengeance. And all their tribe and everybody, all 200-300 of them were there. And the police commissioner, Metropolitan Police Commissioner, with all the top police officers were there. My goodness, we were playing. Chop the packy's legs off. Packy, you smell it in front of the police commissioner.
Yeah.
Right? And guess what? We were like so scared. We were thinking, their parents and their kids and their uncles and aunties are gonna get us. Yeah. And second half, we were losing 3-1. Second half, we came back and we won the tournament. You know what? They wanted to murder us. The police had to give us protection to get out.
Yeah. Yeah, because Wapping's a weird place because you've got to cross over the highway and there's only 2 routes in that way. You know,
Yeah.
you've got to go over the bridge. So,
Yeah.
you know, the rest of the community really is when I went to secondary school, I actually realized there's a world out there beyond the highway, you know, so we were sort of shut off in our own sort of world. It was like when I come and see other people outside and all that, when I went to secondary, then I realized, oh, wow, look, there's a lot more of us sort of Bengalis, you know, so it started, you know, because I didn't really, although we felt racism, it was like an undercurrent. You know, it was overtly racism there in the 70s and 80s. But as we started growing older with the kids, you know, same school, same age, it became more, I don't know, undercurrent. You know, and it almost like, oh, he's all right. So they all had dogs. So I'd get like, we see Bengalis running away from dogs. And I'll be all right with dogs because they all had dogs. So I used to know the Alsatians or the Dobermans or the Rottweiler, you know. So I was around dogs because whenever they come out, they'll have a dog, you know what I mean? So they taught me how to handle the dog. So I said, right, this is how you do it, you know. And then my fear of dogs started going because I could grab them by the jaw, fling them, swing them, and things like that. So it was different experience, you know.
Okay,
And this thing that is all right for a packy, it didn't sit with me when I got to a certain age. It didn't sit with me no more because I'm thinking, well, you know what, you can't go and abuse people and then be all right with me. It didn't make sense.
I think that's the kind of experience a lot of us got. There was always this, if he can speak English well, a bit of Cockney and all of that, you know, he's all right, but they're not. And you're right, Monza. That's when things started getting a bit, hold on, that's not right. How am I all right? And my mate who's right next to me, because he's got a bit of snot coming down and, you know, all of that. He's not all right. He's just a dirty packy, a greasy packy, and you're all right because you can speak a bit of English. You know, so what? I think that was, you know, that started. I was going to say, I think that generation, all of that started the revolution, I think, during the late 80s, early 90s. That revolution of, you know, we are going to be accepted and we're not going to take any more of this. I think it started from there. And as we started, our population, I think, started to grow as well. Because during our time, there weren't a lot of us. And we also had this kind of understanding from our parents that, you know what, you don't start trouble, just make sure you get to school and come back. So there's a lot of, you know, passiveness. But then from the late 80s and the early 90s, people started forming their own views and thinking enough is enough and started responding and reacting, I think. And the younger generations started coming up as well. And our population grew, numbers grew as well. The other thing I was going to say, I don't know about you guys, but when we were growing up, we weren't just being attacked by the white kid. The blacks thought they were white. They were attacking us. So all the blacks thought they were white. They were packy bashing as well. Now they, you know, we're all brothers and everything else. And I accept, yeah. But at that time, we were isolated. You had to fight the blacks. You had to fight the white, whether in school or outside. Behind the blacks' backs, the whites would call them niggers, you know, without even a doubt. Yet while we're with them, they were together trying to beat the crap out of us. So there was double kind of, you know, challenges. Things have changed now, but I think that was a turning point. Late 80s, early 90s, enough is enough, and we galvanized a bit more as well.
Well, I think I'm going to add to Kosru's 2 points. I think there was a third point in there as well, which was, first of all, you was fighting the white kids. Then you were fighting the black kids who were joining them. Then you were getting battered by the old Bill.
Yeah.
Don't forget the old Bill. They were the biggest gang ever.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to bring this point in. So, you know, I think nowadays people see the police force as a consumery service, a customer service kind of thing. Back then, listen, mate, you know, they'd pick you. They used to wear like iron toed boots. You know, so many boots we've had from them. But then that's what I'm saying. You were fighting on all angles.
You know what? You're right, Nana. You know, what we've experienced, I think our generation is a bit militant. We don't give shit because we suffered pretty badly. I used to get involved in fights. You're talking about a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, right? From the age of 11 all the way to 14, 15, every week I used to get involved in a fight. It was bad. And this is when you were thinking, where are the police? Now I'm thinking, where were the police force? What was the local authorities? What were they doing for us?
Most of the time, they were around the corner watching you getting battered.
Yeah, that's
remember
when.
Brick Lane?
Yeah, I remember.
After
and that's
the
where
Sally incident. Remember, so I just wanted to bring some of these points up around the history around what we grew up with. So, you know, and I think people need to understand that the timing, you know, we're saying we had it bad, we had it this way. Yeah, we had it bad in certain ways, but we also had opportunities in different ways. So, for example, most of us went college and university without paying fees and coming out without 46 grand debts. We got paid to go to university. Remember, we had the education grants, all of those things. So we had opportunities at one side in one way, but on another side, you couldn't even get to the door of the university because you were stopped getting there. Okay, so it was a balancing act. And you know, I remember, like, for me, it was kind of different because like I left sixth form fortunately with good results, really, and then I thought, nah, I got to see the world. And I think Abjol, you were talking on a youth work show last week about, you know, not everything's in your patch. You've got to get out to see some more, to meet more people, to see diversity, to do that. And of course, you know, like, you know, we were quite out and about, and so I ended up going to Newham. And they used to call me Bengali Babu. I was the only Bengali there. Maybe 2 or 3 other Bengalis there, but there was no other Bengalis because Bengalis weren't nowhere else but to Hamlets in those days. And so I was Bengali Babu, and that was fine. And then it was Bengali Babu from Brick Lane, Mass, all of that kind of stuff. But it kind of made me work through that college year. But then I ended up getting suspended from the college. And then I ended up coming to Arbor Square because that was the only college in London that would accept me to finish off the A-levels. Because once you've been suspended, that's it. And in Arbor Square, I think we set up the Asian Society because, don't forget, it was City East London College and it was 99% African Caribbean. You remember that time?
Yeah.
And, you know, the few Bengalis that were there, it was a bit hard. And this is what Kosru was talking about, is we started becoming politicized a bit more. Hang on a minute, I've got some civil rights here. I've got human rights here. I can do this. I've got the chance to do this. You can't stop me. So all of these things started happening. And I remember one thing, and quite a few of the guys who went to college with me would remember, our vice principal, right? Won't mention names, because there was quite a few Asian girls in the college, and you know the park outside the college, people would sit there. Girls are like prostitutes, hanging around in the park, waiting for guys to come pick you up in cars. You Asian girls. So this is the kind of mentality that was there within our education system. When we was in school, I remember being taught slavery was a good thing. It was a colonial thing. It was a British thing. It was something that they were proud of. Nowadays, it's a different situation. But come on, we remember those things, and times have to change.
Yeah. Yep. Wait, let's go to some of the comments section, please. Wait, if you can tell us some comments that people have been making. There's loads of people engaging with us, mashallah. Continue doing so. If someone's brave enough to call us and share your experience, please call us.
Can I just say, there's a lot of people who are watching. Please share this link so the younger people can benefit and call in. Shanaz, she was quite young. He said some of us were lost and confused growing up. Thankfully, most of us turned out okay. It was a tough, it was a hard, difficult time. I used to arrive late to school, Abdulullah. It doesn't say why, but then the next one is, back then it was cool for men to say sewing was cool, Kosru.
It was. Yeah, top machiner.
Yeah, yeah. And then some people are saying we're legends. Others, a lot of memories of the past. For so many people, some people suffered. We know you spoke about. We spoke about Al Tabali. There's so many people who were injured, who did get attacked, who were hospitalized. And that's why those racists haven't gone away. They now have put the suit on. They have become politicians. That's where you now, the modern day racism is Islamophobia. So is somebody on the phone? I thought I heard
Who are
someone.
No. Okay, no.
Yeah.
I was gonna just quickly say one incident it happened in my school, Morpeth. One day I saw a brother. I think he just newly arrived from Bangladesh, came to school, and he was wearing a religious cap. Wearing a religious cap, yeah. I mean, I don't wear a religious cap, yeah. So we walked in, and I walked in this, and guess what? I saw a teacher come and grab his hat like this and pulled it off. He told him not to wear the hat in the school. Okay. Do you know what happened the next day? Guess what happened next day? I told 300 of the kids to wear hats and come in school. Okay. And guess what? I told 300, all the students then, I said to them, listen, let's all wear a hat. It's Ramadan. Okay. And let's see what the teacher says. Yeah. So the next day in the morning, all white hair, flooded into Morpeth School, all the boys wearing a hat, and all the teachers were going, what's all this? What's all this? So they asked me, like, that comes everywhere. I said, it's Ramadan. We're going to wear it for 30 days now, you know? And that teacher, that was basically like a kind of he couldn't do anything. I said, look, it's Ramadan. We're going to wear it for 30 days. I mean, I never wear a hat, and I wear it as well. And so that rebelliousness started in many different ways. I remember one teacher told me, why don't you go back to India? And I said, excuse me, sir, I'm not from India. Yeah, I'm actually from Bangladesh. They didn't really care, you know, go back to India. That's how blatant. We used to run inside the school, and guess who used to protect us inside the school? The librarian. Okay, so we used to rush into the library, and he would close the door, and he would literally like force himself against the door so that the library doesn't get rushed here, right? So those are the days. And I'm sure other people in other schools have probably experienced quite a lot of difficulties and hardship. I think we're in a stage where we need to make a documentary film about the past. I know there are some fantastic film directors out there. A lot of our history, a lot of our context and stories are being lost. There are many brothers and sisters who passed away, who played pivotal roles at that time in the kind of resistance, and also in the development of, you know, gaining the power, gaining the dignity and self-respect. And this is why Tower Hamlet has been always a kind of a politicized borough, because people of the past have never let go, and they continuously provide whatever support they can. Now, what we'd like to do now, if that's okay with everyone, if we can move on to some of those kind of positive kind of challenges the community took in order to empower themselves. I've got to give credit to one guy. He was a non-Bangladeshi, Michael Chokli. Does anyone remember Michael Chokli?
Yeah, name rings a bell. I can't remember why.
He passed away many years ago, and loads of our previous councillors and the older brothers who are instrumental in the anti-racist movement, they know him very well, yeah. And he played a pivotal role in helping us, at least in Morpeth School, behind the scene, you know, empowering us, you know, making the contacts. He was using a lot of the community leaders to kind of like, you know, become activists in that. And, you know, and then we started realizing that there were other people from the English community who are actually helping us. So there was another dimension where we saw people coming in and helping us, trying to fight the anti-racist, to fight the racism in the borough as well. Do you remember when we formed that youth alliance in order to fight the racism? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, that came as a result of, some people might remember, the incident with Kudus Ali, where a young Bengali brother was beaten up quite savagely in Watney Market, just outside the pub It's no longer there. But
by John Rutter. John Rutter.
Yeah. So that
I used to live in Wapping.
there's a big backlash following that, and I think at that time we had a lot of young Bengali kind of groups, gangs, whatever you want to call them, in different areas, not really galvanized. That one incident, actually, we thought, how do we get everyone together to fight against a common enemy, which are the races, which are the police, which is the institution. So that's when an organizer, we formed a collective, and it was called Youth Connection. That came as a result of, I think there was a rally of some sort or vigil outside the London hospital to mark the incident. And at that rally erupted into a fight with the police. It was mad. It was crazy. It was probably, it's like you see in Brixton and all of that kind of thing. But it was our Bengali youngsters just fighting the police. And police got injured. Quite a few of our young brothers got arrested. I think there was 6 in particular.
Nine.
As the time was 6. So Youth Connection was formed as an alliance of bringing together all the different groups or the gangs from different areas into one big group so that we could fight the common enemy. And this was to fight racism and also institutional racism as well, kind of thing. So it was a really good thing because the fighting amongst ourselves, that was one way of actually managing that, controlling that, and sort of eradicating that at that time, because everybody became one big group fighting that common enemy. And we formed that, and it was nationally and internationally recognized, actually. We were getting, we were being contacted from abroad to see what model, just to get a kind of picture and explanation of the model that we had developed so that people could use it in other countries. So that was really, that was one time when I saw all of our young population. I mean, Abu was involved. I do remember. Abjol, you were involved. Helal was involved. In Monza, what we did was we picked 2 key people from each area that had influence in that area, and they formed that initial committee of that group. So then that way we could control and manage all the areas and all the young people. It did a lot of good. It eventually did what it was meant to do, and politicians got involved as always because it was getting big. People wanted to, get into the limelight and, shine the torch on it, kind of thing, say they did it. When that happened, as always, it started to disintegrate because it wasn't meant as a political platform. It meant as a young people voice.
Yeah.
And as soon as that happened, we started to it did some good work.
But can I just add to Kosru's point? I think that also helps us understand what community leadership was as well.
Yeah.
Lots of us started coming through, and it wasn't, there was a certain point of, our elders say this, and that's the leadership. But actually, that wasn't that leadership. The leadership was understanding situations, understanding the implications of stuff. Because I remember, Hoss, the arguments, me, you, and some of the Abu and that, quite a lot of people were around when we had organizations, white anti-racist organizations, parachuting in. Yeah. We'll come and sort it out. They wanted to do
the anti-Nazi League. Yeah, do you remember?
The Socialist Workers' Party, the Communist Action Group, all of that lot. Yeah. They all wanted to come in and be on the front line and getting all the press, saying we're helping the Bengalis. And our point was, hang on a minute, you've turned up at night, you're going to go home, I've got to walk home, and I'm the one who's going to get battered. So if anything, you stay behind us, let us lead the way. And I think that's where some of our young leadership, that community organizing, the resilience, all of those elements started coming in, because we were just thinking, hang on a minute, we're getting battered this way, you want to come and take over this, get the limelight for that, and then we're still getting battered in the middle. But actually, listen to what we're saying. We know what the risks are. We're willing to take those risks, but I don't want to take the risk because you want to get your face on the paper. So I think that was another big step for us in terms of young Bengali people into our hamlets, is understanding some of those community politics and actually taking ownership for ourselves.
Can I just one quick point, and I've got a question I'm going to direct at all of you, starting on Monza. The racism hasn't gone away. The new form of racism It's within the police force. It's within the council. It's within the government departments. These guys, they were skinheads before. Now they got suits on. So we need to continue this struggle until we get good, clear opportunities. Now, my question, Monza,
Yeah, bro.
if you can go back in the 1980s or the 1990s, you must have had a really good role model that really had a positive impact in your life. Who would you want to meet if you were given that a wish? Who would you want to meet, and why?
Wow, that's a weird question, isn't it? Who would I want to meet? Well, you know, 80s and 90s. I think I was well into my music by then. You know, the 90s. I was
Somebody
doing
who
these illegal
inspired you. Somebody who
acid
inspired
house, you know, mixing, you know, DJing. You know, that was our forte, innit? So we got around. You know, we used to go to all these illegal raves and things like that. So who would I want to meet? I don't know, maybe a boxer or something.
Somebody who's had a positive impact.
Positive, you've got to say Muhammad Ali at that time. You know, he's at the top of the list.
All right, okay. All right, let's go to
Ali. He was well outspoken. He's always had that sort of, you know, sting about him. You know, well outspoken, well famous as well. You know, everyone wanted to be Muhammad Ali.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. How about you, Kosru?
What was the question again?
Somebody around the 80s and 90s who was inspirational. Somebody has had all these difficulties and challenges, but somebody at that time came and helped you.
You know what?
Is there anyone that you can remember?
You know what? This is real because again, it goes back to kind of the youth connection where when we didn't know what to do and how to galvanize where we get our money from. The one that actually stepped up and came down and helped us, quite famous at the time, was actually, and we've moved away from all of that, by the way, was Apache Indian. And I really appreciated what he did because he came at a time when we were really struggling and we needed someone influential that was out there that people listened to and respected or knew about that could make a change. He came along and he made a record. He actually made a record, and all the proceeds of that record came into the Youth Connection Fund to fight for Cutlass Ali and racism. So for me, no matter what he was at the time, that was someone that was quite inspirational for me at the time.
All right.
It's not nothing. Just to go on the back of Cutlass Ali, I remember the guy who actually beat him up. I know their family because they live in Wapping. You know, and I was approached many times afterwards. After all this, he came to explain to me why they done it. This is after he'd done his bird. So, you know, it was awkward to see that, to say, why is he coming to me, having to explain himself to me? Because you remember that thing that he's actually all right. Yeah. So, you know, I was always around him, and he knows the score with me. So he didn't want that enemy thinking, right, now something's going to happen to him because I know who he is, you know. So they felt obliged to come and explain themselves, you know, him and his brother, you know. But he gave me a different story, and I said, you know what, I don't know.
All right. Okay.
I'm going to say,
and that day, I was actually on my way to that march, and I think Pasha got arrested already. So there was already a scuff, and everyone's running the other way, and he's going, "Don't go that way." The police are chasing everyone off. So we're on our way down that road to where Chris's hairdressers was, and everyone's running the other way, and they say, "Look, it's all kicked off, and they've already got arrested." I'm thinking, what's going on?
Where is Pasha these days?
He's in Bangladesh.
I haven't seen him for years.
Yeah, he's in Bangladesh in Upashore. He's got a place there. He's got a little a boutique opened in his house. He's opened a place, and he's doing all right.
We'll catch up. We'll catch up. We'll catch up on that one. Helal, same question to you.
I'm going to be quite different because I think because I was already into the kind of rap music scene, and like Monza was saying, and for me, I think one of my influences would have been Ice-T because it was very this establishment, anti-organization, anti-government, anti-police. It was very much raw, radical lyrics, which were very hard to come by. And, you know, for me, he kind of like that music kind of broke some of those boundaries and started bringing that kind of the establishment, the kind of, you know, anti-government, that kind of stuff. So, and being a radical student movement, you know, being a students' union at university and stuff like that, that was for me a big driver, really.
All right. Okay. All right. My final and last question before I pass it on to Abjol. All right. You know, clearly there is a lot of history. Our generation, our older generation has suffered quite a bit. Our parents, how things have changed from then to now. Yeah. And what we need to do is, you know, how can we educate our younger generation about their history? Because they don't know about the struggles and challenges that we went through. You know, because it's going to get lost. That struggle is going. This difficulty will get lost, and we know right wing have a tendency to come back.
Yeah, but it's which way. So this is what I was trying to say earlier, Abu, was, you know, for us, we had the racial kind of attacks, and it was the Paki, the black this, you know, all of this. That racialness has now become sectarial. It's become Islamophobia, or there's another one. So what we have to understand is whichever generation you are, you're going to have those challenges. And for us, it's really important that our young people start understanding what resilience is, what sticking up for themselves is, no matter what the issue is. You know, today, you know, in our days, it was the police, it was the fascists, it was the BNP, it was this. Today, young people are facing similar difficulties, but from a different perspective. So, you know, like I was saying earlier, nowadays, loads, mashallah, loads of our children, young people, brothers and sisters are going to universities, getting degrees and all of those things, coming out with a massive debt. And then on top of that, they're having this focus that, you know, you lot are all terrorists or this, or, you know, those assumptions, that extreme view. So they're going to have to fight through this. They're going to have to be resilient for all of this. The next generation that come in, it's going to be something else. That challenge is never going to end. There's going to be one or another or another. And the key for me is that people need to understand, you know, support each other, back each other, motivate each other. And that resilience is a key for me, is being able to stand up for yourself and people around you.
Yeah, how can we motivate our children? Our children. You know, we are determined. We had to get battered. We had to literally get battered. We all shared our experiences. Nana, you had to run to save your lives. Otherwise, you're going to get battered. How do we pass that education to our kids?
I think, you look, history is always a lesson, but also history being mixed with current situations and looking at how they correspond with each other. They're the key things. And for me, the key thing is resilience and having an understanding. And that's what we need to be doing. We need to be motivating that resilience element so that people can stand up. You know what? We've got thousands of young leaders out there. It's about how do you motivate that leadership in them? How do you get that ownership for them to take ownership of their communities, their neighborhoods, their areas, their towns, their home?
Nana, Laila,
there is a strategy.
just sorry, Monza, you come in. Laila just a message, and she said, "We are the younger generation. We're passionate to give back to our communities. However, opportunities are not available to us. Yeah, carts, racism, youth clubs are decimated into our hamlets. I'm sorry to say it that way. Sorry?
Doesn't exist.
All around the country.
Well, I'm just going to add to that. In terms of a strategy, you could sort of go on the back of, you know, a Black Awareness Week and then make it more specific to the location. So if you use the Black Awareness Week, then you can get into the establishment, you can get into schools, you know, and you can bring to the forefront the struggles that the communities have faced in the past in terms of bringing about awareness. Because I think the schools have got a role to play, and they're in the community.
But look, Mons, you know, most things start at home, start in your community. So we all play a role. I think, you know, one of the excuses most people use will, the school's there to teach that, but actually schools there to encourage that, and those bases, those roots have to be set elsewhere, really, don't they?
I mean, education does sit at home. I always have discussions with my kids, but I'm so raw that they can't handle it. You get
But I
me?
think, just on the back of that, I think what's missing now and what was there before, and why I saw some of the comments and how is it that we did what we did and the younger generation. What's missing for me is that mutual respect and that unity. We've become so individualized now. We're just talking to our kids. We need to make sure that they understand that it's not just, it's not, they've got to be a bit selfless and start integrating and kind of getting that mutual respect back, because we can, you know, as they say, unity is strength, and we used to live by that in the late 80s and 90s, and that's how we survived, and that's how we weren't fighting with each other, but we were supporting each other. Because if we've got each other's backs, and if we learn that mutual respect, if we stop having these gang fights and postcode wars and all of that, and stop fighting each other, we're doing our enemies' work for us. What do we need racists for? Come on, you know, we're beating each other up. You don't need some white man or a copper to come in and batter the crap out of us. We're doing it ourselves. We need to, that's what we need to try and work on. If we can address that somehow, minimize that, reduce that, and get our youngsters back united again, talking to each other again, having that mutual respect, then the education and everything else that they're gaining will be more stronger, and they can utilize it far more better as well. So I think that somehow, because that was what bound us together in the olden days, no matter what area you're from, you're in trouble, call Cannon Street, call Shadwell, doesn't matter what beef or whatever you've got.
Let me just throw a funny bit into that, but, you know, not like say where you can pick up WhatsApp or this and that. There was a phone box outside Shadwell Station, Mons. That's what we call the Shadwell guys. There was a phone box at Mirage Cafe. That's where you contact the Brick Lane people. There was phone box by BYM. That's where Cannon Street was contacted. But that was a connection. And if we wanted to say anything, we had to go find people, then sit down, have those conversations. It wasn't like a text message and a WhatsApp message and an email. It was like people came round to you. People came round, sat down. We had, come on, how many times did we sit in those coffee shops drinking tea for like 6-7 hours, just talking about, you know, when the next demonstration's going to be, who's going to organise what, who's getting the placards, who's getting this. That you know, BYM was a key place for that kind of stuff. Cost 52.5 in Hanbury Street. Mirage Cafe, they made so much money out of our meetings in 52.5 with all the teas and kebabs. But that's how we did it, because it was about mobilising people physically together, not virtually.
The other question is, I suppose, you know, I know we're doing it, but how many parents, how many dads with this kind of experience are actually sitting their kids down and talking to them about those experiences? You might be Abu, Abjol might be, Monza might be, I am, Helal might be. But we're not the only 5 that went through. If everybody was doing that, sharing those experiences, I don't think a lot of parents even have that kind of relationship with their sons or their daughters at all. So that's another thing. If we could do that as well as we are doing with our kids, if that was something that could be replicated across the piece with everybody who lived through those generations and came up the hard way, I think the kids will have a bit more of an understanding as to what the struggles were, how lucky they are, how fortunate they are, and maybe their mindset, their thinking might change a bit.
But I think the Bengali community has lost its voice. I think we've actually lost the voice, and we're losing the youngsters.
What do you mean we're losing our voice?
One of the reasons
that unity, I'd say, doesn't exist now. That unity that we had, and that respect and unity that we knew, and we know that we can form from one area of Tahamnitz to another, that formulation is gone. It's like every young person out there now, it's like they're on a different vibe.
But our young people are mainstream young people now. Unlike we were the minority. We could count how many people were out and about together. You know, there was a handful of us. You know, because when everyone knew everyone.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
Yes.
you know, our children, our young people, they are mainstream people in this community. So I think that's what Monza's trying to say, is that Bengaliness isn't there, or that kind of, you know, the BME kind of smaller group not there anymore, because I think our community is a mainstream community now.
Yeah.
Abjol, you were saying something.
Yes, Helal, yeah, I was going to pick up on some very important points the brothers have made. One thing I want to say is you have your cultural cultural races, you have your institutional racism, you have your soft racism, and then there's kind of like normalized kind of racism. I want to give you one incident where a lot of the lads who used to go around beating up people, packies and all that kind of stuff, they were in the fashionable racism. Yeah? There's a lot of non-Bengali white kids who are basically fashionably attacking others because, you know, it was just the fashion of that time. You know, if you weren't beating another packy, then, you know, you didn't get accepted in that crowd or in that group as well. Now, there was one incident where, you know, when I stood as a counsellor, I was knocking on some doors and that, yeah. And guess the people I started bumping into? Some of these guys, when they were younger, when they used to, well, not only called Packy, they've been involved in some of the fights and skirmishes and that, and they saw me. Okay, so they saw me canvassing on the streets, on the door, and they were 4x4 rovers, really, really rich. You could tell they were middle class. You know, you could tell they're property owners and that, yeah, right? Really, really high up, like social scale and that, yeah. They were standing in the car, like watching me and that, yeah. I think they were trying to clock me, you know, if they could recognize me. I looked at them, I recognized them straight away, yeah. I went up to them, I said hello to them, okay, and they said hello. You know what? They looked normal. They spoke normal, as though it's like the modern day. You know, there's no racism. They're just normal people. They're basically another gentleman. You know, like, you know, they're doing their business. You know, mapping out the area, whatever they were doing. And it just kind of occurred to me that, you know, even though they were racist at that time, some of them were fashionable racists, and maybe they have changed. But there are many who haven't changed. They've actually kind of taken a different shape. They're actually more intellectual. They're culturally intellectual in the way they can use policies and use policies in a way in designing out your cultural identity, you know, using strategic measurements to kind of forecast like how soon or how quickly your identity is going to be like fizzled out. So the demographics can change, how the gentrification will kick in, all that kind of stuff, because I had to look into all that kind of stuff. I had to look at all these kind of hidden forms of racism, how it can apply. I don't know if you remember the early days, many of our elders, you know, most of the political parties won't even accept them as candidates. So the Bangladeshi community, they had to get together and stand as independent candidates before any of the political parties recognize that, you know, the Bengali community was a political force. And if you speak to some of the elders, like Jalal Bhai and them, they will tell you the battles that they had to go through in order for them to be able to take it to the political level. But we're living in the 21st century in a modern time with smartphones and everything. Our youngsters are not having that hard kind of like clash. They're getting the soft stuff. They're getting the institutional stuff. And I'm not sure they're ready for that. I'm not sure that they've actually gone through a process of understanding how they're getting hit without realizing it. We realize it straight away. That's why we challenge people. You know, we know they're hiding behind policies. We know they're hiding behind some of the bureaucracy. We know when they're saying, giving ideas and solutions, they're telling you what to do and how to do it in a particular way without taking your expertise. This is why, you know, like places like NAFAS will always get squeezed. They will always get squeezed out of things. If you do anything that has your identity attached to it, you're going to get designed out. You know, they just don't like you holding on to your identity. Our youngsters, there is an identity clash. There's also an ideological clash as well. So think about leadership. Now, alhamdulillah, we've had this kind of experience. That's why we're doing what we're doing. I know all of us here, we're doing so many things. The new generation, they're coming up. The British Bangladeshi community, you know, those who are born and brought up, who grew up in this country for the last 40 years, 30 years, are not in the power structure of the Bangladeshi community. We are not on the power structure. Most of the power structure is dominated by other members of the community who have a different perspective. A lot of those perspective is more about what is happening in Bangladesh or what is happening elsewhere. All those institutions are dominated. So therefore, people of your caliber, people of your expertise, we are part of the mainstream. We're struggling with the mainstream, and back home, we have no power. We have no influence. We don't hold the power of those institutions. How many of you brothers or us are involved in any of the mosque committees? You know, how many of us are involved in any of, if you look at even the media side of the Bangladeshi media, how many British born in this country presenters you see? So who's controlling, how is the narrative being controlled? You know, to give you another example, many of our youngsters, if they wanted to become councillors, they're going to struggle to be a councillor in this borough. Why? Because there are times when a lot of our voters won't vote for them because they're 9-to-5 councillors. Yeah. So if you can be a 24-hour councillor, people are going to be very selective in how they choose you. So we are also getting knocked on one side, and we've had a knock with the institution. And now most of the institutions have these kind of subtle directions. They are afraid. Look at the British Bangladeshi community. We're the biggest Bangladeshi community outside Bangladesh in Sarah Hamlet, the gateway to wealth and economy, and the gateway to the city. Look at our housing conditions, and look how some of the gang fightings have they taken place as well. A lot of our families, when they were moved to other areas, if they were from Brick Lane, if they were from Cannon Street, they were moved because they had to be on the waiting list. You got no choice. Moved into other areas, conflict starting with those kids and youngsters for meeting up. So we've got our share of problems. Leadership is very important. We've got to help the next generation and push the next generation to become the leaders. We cannot be, in another 5 years' time, the leaders of this community. The new generation have to come and they have to take over.
But how do we do that? Go on.
Sorry,
so
Nana.
all I wanted to say, Nana, is look, I think we've looked at quite a lot of the negative context of this, but also let's not forget we've got loads of our youngsters coming through who are very articulate, very smart, very conscious. And how do we support these youngsters to start becoming the movers, the shakers, the leaders of tomorrow? We've got this responsibility. This is on us.
Yes.
We can sit here and say, oh, when's the next generation going to come from? But if I'm not leading that, or I'm not motivating that, or I'm not nurturing some of this, it's never going to happen. But let's not forget, we do have loads of our younger brothers and sisters who are very articulate, very politicized, but maybe they just don't know how to do it. Maybe they just need a push or a pull.
On that note, Helal, we are going to do a specific show on celebrating the qualities and the goodness that our community is actually given. There is much more than what we said today. We've just wanted to touch on our experiences of the past. Hopefully that will trigger a lot of interest. One thing I would like to see is some serious people, documentary people, to make some documentaries from the community, not other people coming in and making it to represent us. I think we need to take that initiative. We need to document some of the historical events. A lot of our elders are passing away. A lot of history is being lost as well. So there are some milestones we can take, inshallah, and hopefully this show is not going to be, this is the beginning of several series, inshallah. Yeah. So hopefully we'll be inviting you back in to look at those positive things that we've been doing, the things that have been working, and the new challenges we're facing with all the cuts, with all the services as well, because that plays a big role, because it took a long time to get those institutions in place, but it was so quick to bring them down as well. Yeah. So on that note, we need to kind of move on. I know there's a lot of people are messaging us. They're actually communicating with us. I can assure you this is not the end. Monza, you want to say something? What we're going to do there, a summary, and then we'll come back again.
I just want to quickly say that poverty, we read about it all the time. But as I was growing up, I realized later on in life, actually, I am poverty. I was poverty growing up. We're a single parent family. There was a lot of things going on, and it was like that. I was in it, but I couldn't see it. So I think a lot of young people now, they're not it's very much money driven. Everything's money driven. So everything's related to financial rewards. You see a lot of young people going splashing out this and that, but end of the day, it's almost become a selfish society for Bengalis now, where before it used to be a bit more selfless. You know, people used to do things for other people, but now that's gone away. I feel something's missing. That's used to connect us.
Jazakallah khair. Abjol bhai, do we have a video that you was gonna play? Because before
we did have a video, but because of copyright we can't play it. Yeah, so what I will do is I would like to recommend everyone, we will try and put some links up on this link, inshallah. Go on that video. It takes us back into the 70s and 80s, how the Bangladeshi community faced challenges, and how the elders of that time, they took, you know, they went on demonstration, how they were arrested. It's a very, very good, there are some video, good documentaries. Please do read them. Because of copyrights, we weren't able to show it here.
Okay.
So I think what we do now is go for a quick summary, comments from everyone. Then we will conclude for today. And inshallah, in a couple of weeks' time, we will resume the discussion. We want to do at least 3 series on this. And hopefully in our next show, we'll have more guests coming on board. I am going to do one specific show with just the sisters to get the sisters' perspective. I do apologize for today. It's only just brothers. But I can tell you, I witnessed as a young lad, Bengali sisters getting beaten up. You know, the biggest fear that we used to have wasn't the boys. I can tell you for sure, it wasn't the racist boys out there. Yeah, we were scared of the girls. You know, girls will actually, like instigate most of the kind of like trouble at that time. Those particular girls, there are times they will come up to you, they will spit you in the face, and then they will try and have a kind of row with you. And then obviously you couldn't do anything. If you did do anything, then you just got jumped. Yeah, and many of the Bengali girls, they did suffer a lot. When they were the first generation of girls going to those schools and that. So we still do want to capture that side of it. Many of them are mothers, many of them probably are grandparents now as well. They had a very, very hard time when they were growing up in Tower Hamlets and in other parts of the area. Just to remind everyone, while we were having our difficulties here, the Bangladeshi community and other BME communities were facing similar kind of problems up and down the country. At that time, it was very fashionable. It was very fashionable. Racism was a fashionable thing. But you know what? There is a saying, sometimes those fashion come back like fashion. And I think we're getting a different type of fashion that's coming in. It's very subtle, it's very institutional, it's very, and many people are waking up to it. And this is why Black Lives Matter is very important to all communities, because if you don't resist, if you don't fight back, if you don't make those challenges, no one else is going to do it for you. And if we don't have our own identity, with someone else's identity, you ain't going to get nothing. You're not going to get anything. And sometimes we should not be shy about saying who we are, what we are, and be proud about it. And there's a lot of positive. And I can go through a list of all the good things that we've done in this community. Because of East London, London benefited. And because of East London, even the UK benefited. And there are very, very positive success. So very quickly, let's go through all the brothers, mashallah, and let's have your quick summary. And then we will conclude today, inshallah. Yeah. So who should we go with? Abu Bhai, who do you want to go first?
Okay, let's Monza.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, you go first.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. I think that was really interesting. Alhamdulillah. I just want to say, I think there came a point in my life where my only ambition was that no Bengalis get beaten up. And Shadwell, it was like we was going out on patrol every single day to evening, night. And, people used to come up to us in the day. That time they used to say, Full Tolofwain. They should say, "Oh, these guys," you get me, and we used to get a bad name. Yeah, it was quite a famous. It started going around the houses, and it gave us the wrong impression, and it sort of discouraged. But at the same time, we knew what we was there for, and alhamdulillah, I believe we achieved that, because from that time onwards, it was a personal ambition. My only mission was, no one's getting beaten up around here. No one's getting rushed. No one's getting done. And that's what we went out with. People don't know that,
do they? No, you are protecting the area.
Yeah. So it started spreading like wildfire. But then everyone who was there knew what we was there for, and we done what we had to do. But alhamdulillah, now looking back, when I went to somebody recently and I told them full of Tolofwana, they go, well, we grew up on that. We could hear our parents talking about you lot, basically. And I was there in front of that person. I'm thinking, wow, it's like,
Monza, have you been recently? There's a new group of young people under the bridge now. I wonder what they're doing.
I don't know. That bridge is very commercial now. We were the underground.
No,
we were underground.
I went there the other day.
Yeah,
and I
they
was
probably
thinking,
are. But yeah, it was totally different. That time there was no
Yeah.
lights, you know, it was dark. People used to be scared walking down there, you know. So they only saw certain heads. So we was the ones, we were the only ones visible. So it was
right.
totally different. I must say, like even the pubs, I shut down a few pubs myself. The camera used to ask Aklu, please tell your mate, you know, because I used to go on them when they're drunk, they come out and, you know, put it, and I say, oh, I think I know your son. And then that was it.
Wow.
You know, because they know it's coming, it's going to big roundabouts, you know. But I just want to say it was really good. Yeah, it was just really good touching on, you know, everyone's experience and bringing it together, because I think that's what we're losing. We're losing the grip, and we, you know, to young people. How do we inspire them? How do we create an environment where they feel they can achieve and not feel like it's, you know, just me and myself type of thing? And we have to bring that community feeling back. I think we lost the community. We're losing the community, you know. So unity is important. You know, if we can gel, if we can act as a gel and then empower them, alhamdulillah, I think, you know, we've done a great job. Jazakallah.
Kosru bhai.
Yeah, very briefly. Firstly, thank you for the show. And in answer to one of the questions, I think, what do we do? One of the things we're doing already, as we're doing is shows like this. Because if we can do more of this and invite our younger people, the modern, you know, kind of social media and everything else, those channels, invite them in through channels that they know and that they're, you know, hooked on, then maybe that's one way of sharing some of the things that we're talking about, actually. And the more we talk, the more people will know, and the more people will know. So I would say to you, brothers, continue with what you're doing, because it's excellent. I today was really good for me. Felt really nostalgic talking about some of the things that, you know, happened all those years ago. I mean, obviously there are so many stories and we haven't got time for that, but it just felt so good. But it felt good sharing in a positive way, as in we went through this, but we're not moaning about it. We're just sharing it so that you know that this is what the older generation had to go through to lay the foundation of what you've got now, kind of thing. And that's it. So shows like this, I think, are a good platform to convey that message. So carry on. And thank you for having me on the show.
All right. It's all right. You've done very well, alhamdulillah. Really good. All right, Nana.
Well, I'm not going to echo what these guys have said. Exactly
Say
the
something
same.
new, bro.
I am going to say something new. I'm just kind of like this reminisce. Just kind of reminded me where we've moved from. To be honest, I remember the times we used to go and support families who had shit-proof put through their letterboxes, who had firebombs put through their doors. Just to, you know, 5, 6 of us used to go and sit outside the blocks, just to give them a peace of mind, so that they could sleep at night. You know, so it's just reminiscing all of those kind of times, but actually looking at now, you know, we've moved so much further, but we can achieve a lot more compared to what these two guys are saying in terms of how do we build that resilience, and we don't see these times again for not just our community, but any human.
All right. Okay. Before Abjol, I pass on to Abjol, my few points of summary. First of all, I think if you look at the Jewish community, the Jewish experience in East London, in Europe, one thing that they do is document their experiences. They create museums. You know, Altabali. We're talking about Altabali. We're talking about majority of us impacted by physical violence, and these need to be documented. And I would like to see a museum somewhere in Tower Hamlets, you know, call it Altabali or the British Bangladeshi experience. So not the third, not the fourth, but the fifth and sixth and seventh generation could look back. Yeah, that's number one. We forgot to talk about the Ramadan time when we were young, because our parents thought we were going to the mosque. Okay, we'll talk about that. I didn't want to, you know, give the young people.
You're asking yourself up there.
No, listen, I love Ramadan time. You know what I used to do? I used to maybe you maybe you guys can shed a few more minutes, one or two experiences. I used to go just to keep my parents' word. I used to go and do the fard prayer, and the rest of the 2 hours, it was good time. Also, you guys haven't said if you bunked off. Yeah, have all of you bunked off in your time in school?
Yes.
Yeah, with the
Hands up,
bumping.
hands up, hands up. Who bunked
The
off?
bumping.
Monza, you must have bunked off.
Yeah, plenty.
He's got the
Listen,
record.
listen, I still have people saying, oh, I didn't get my O levels because Helal taught me how to bank off.
Yeah, I didn't get my GCSEs either. The annex, I had a special route.
Listen,
And it was
guys.
to Christchurch. Remember Christchurch?
We could have touched on that, but we just didn't have enough time. And like we have to go easy on our kids. We made loads of mistakes. Some parents are really hard on their kids, and this is another topic on young people because they have challenges. Social media being one of them. They're on it all the time because we won't let them go out. We won't let them go and hang out under shadow lot of Tole. You understand? The next new generation of parents, we're like keeping an eye on our kids 4/7 and not allowing them to make the mistakes that we have made, and we're all witnessing, and our kids are watching that we banked off. Now we want all of them, all our kids, to suddenly become the pious scholar. Their sisters, do you remember back then our mothers used to wear the saris and stuff? They didn't wear the headscarf properly. Now what's happened? The change. Baba, like niqab, hijab, everyone's doing it.
Yeah, because we had
It's regulation. Now you got to have your face covered.
Oh, okay. All right.
You remember we dealt with a different scenario where we were overcoming identity issues with Ya Nabi Salam Alaika, everyone standing up and doing
oh
things
my
like
goodness.
that. Yeah, so it was chaos, So at the 1 minute you're in the church, you're doing this, that, and the other. Next minute you're coming home and everyone's doing Ya Nabi Salam Alaika and then doing other odd things. You're running over there. It's like proper. And then the music hit the scene, and then the drugs come on the scene. Yeah, it was a total.
You know what? Monza, I still haven't forgotten the lyrics. The morning assemblies. I don't know if kids do it nowadays, but I'm gonna just 10 seconds. Kumbaya, my lord, Kumbaya. Kosru, you guys probably didn't do that in Morpeth.
We did.
Is it?
I'm watching the
Okay. Prayer,
No.
Christian soldiers.
Really? Oh.
Okay. Oh wait, we've got to wrap up.
All right, you need to wrap up. You need to wrap up.
Okay. Yeah. Jazakallah to the brothers. Kosru Bhai, Jazakallah. Big thanks. For coming on the show. Monza, brother Helal. Superstar. Subhanallah. For you to come on board and that. Yeah. There are other brothers. There are plenty of more. I could have got about 100 people on the show, and I know you can. There are platforms where we can do that. Yeah. And I think this is going to be. We want to build this up, inshallah. Yeah, we're getting a lot of positive responses from young people. They're actually messaging me and things like that. Yeah, so you probably get messages as well. There are a lot of young people watching this in various different ways. I am gonna actually do my best to get a young people show together as well, so the young people lead on this. So everything we've discussed, and if we've motivated, if we inspired people, we want people to go out and to be confident in what they do. We do have strengths in our community. We have a lot of power in our community. We need to use it properly, use it effectively, know where we're going, know what we're trying to defend as well. There's no shame in defending your identity. There's no shame in being united, and looking for common cause. There is a saying, a good tree will bear good fruits, okay? And we need to eat from the good trees, yeah? Also, bear in mind, there are a lot of people out there from different cultural backgrounds who sympathize with us, who've probably gone through the same kind of experiences as us. And there are new communities who are facing similar kind of things as well. Yeah. So there are many, many people in our societies who are facing similar kind of things, or they have in the past. We just need to make sure that, it's not the end. We need to think of solutions. We need to think of how we can empower the young people.
Can I just say one thing? just
Yeah,
before
coming in.
you, right, brothers, the work of 13 Rivers Trust is exactly what we're talking about. Connect the past to the present and do things for the future. And you'll hear about the work of 13 Rivers Trust. All this time you've heard of Eating Care, Muslim Burial, and all of that. You're going to hear the work of 13 Rivers Trust a lot more. And this is exactly that. Sorry, Abjol Bhai.
Yeah, no,
Inshallah.
you're right, and and a lot of us, mashallah, the community has been very good in various different fronts. But what we need to consider now is how we bring some of that benefit to the UK, to the local community, to East London, or wherever you may live. Yeah, and this is one of our intention. So our proposal is that we will continue with our 13 Rivers Community Show regularly every Wednesdays from 9 o'clock. And we do apologize when the shows are very good, we don't stick to the time. We're supposed to do 1 hour show. We're actually hitting 2 hour now, yeah. So, Jazakallah, thank you very much for those people who are very patient. The show doesn't end. The show doesn't end now because you can actually encourage people to watch the repeats, and I think more people see the repeats as well. So please continue sharing the link so that more people get to see us, and more people see us, then we were able to get the message across to a lot of people as well. So, inshallah, brothers and sisters, this was actually from 13 Rivers Trust. We're actually focusing on supporting people in the UK and helping and strengthening our communities. We want to do it ourselves. And if people are out there and partners want to work with us, then please work with us. There's no harm in working together, and we will do that, yeah. We've had a good show today. Bubbly guest today, mashallah, a lot of wealth of experience, a lot of context. Hopefully in the future, if we can get a documentary filming done, we want to be able to take those kind of memories. I know we can have a movie on this, yeah, believe me. We can have a whole movie on East London, the real struggles, yeah. And there are so many funny characters, so many funny stories, so many battles. I can do the whole fight scenes, that I can actually do all the fight scenes that took place, how the brothers used to come in the cars, get there, whatever, believe me, I've still got it in my memory. I've still got it. All we need to do is to research, go interview people. It's just, Motob is not here. I mean, if he was here, we would have heard some of his stories as well, yeah. Especially the old school ones. There's a lot to say. We've only started the journey. Thank you everyone for being patient with our IT support and that, because obviously sometimes our internet wasn't so good in that, yeah. But be with us. We're raw, we're grassroots. This is what we are, inshallah, yeah. And if you want to contact us. The brothers around the screen. They're all professionals, by the way. They are all professionals. They all hold their positive status in our society. They're legends and heroes maybe in the past, but also they're contributing in all their different sectors, and that's why we've got this range of brothers here. They could be your elders, they could be your grandparents, because we've got kids now who are like grandchildren now as well, So mashallah,
who's a grandparent? Oh my goodness.
Look, loads of us are grandparents.
And my granddaughter's kind of went to go sleep, so I need to go and give her a kiss.
To go.
Yeah.
I do.
So what we want to do is we want to connect the old, the middle, and the young. Yeah, we want to be a positive community, and we want all communities to learn from each other. We're not shy, and yes, we can learn a lot from the Jewish community, and we are learning. And I think we will take all those good practices and we'll put them into good use. But we, as leadership here, or roles that we play, we have a responsibility of helping the new generation. Let's all of us promise amongst ourselves we'll continue doing whatever we're doing. We'll do it sincerely, and because what we have seen amongst our networks of brothers, we don't have that fighting and pulling in politics here. We can get together, even if we have difference of opinion. We get together doing good work. And I've seen it every time we've called out, every time we've done something, we've done it together. Ideology or religion or nothing, that was never a barrier. So if we can work in that way, we can still make that mark, and we can empower. And I want to see in a couple of years' time, the new generation are leading and taking on the leadership, and we're in the background and helping them and supporting them, inshallah. On that particular note, to all our brothers and sisters out there, all those who are watching us, all those who are from other communities as well, I hope it was a learning experience from me and all my guests here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Until next Wednesday.
Every soul shall taste death. Uddin Care provides end-of-life and burial support to those who are vulnerable. Uddin Care has been befriending those who are reaching end of life and have supported burials across the UK since 2015. We support vulnerable people who need that extra social, emotional, and spiritual help. We befriend the sick in hospitals, hospices, and in private homes. Many Muslims struggle with burial costs, including new Muslims with little or no family support. An average burial in the UK can cost over £3,000. Uddin Care have supported victims of the Grenfell Tower tragedy and their families with burial support. Help us continue to befriend the sick on your behalf so we can empower those who yearn for your kindness and warmth. Those who long for that feeling of being loved and not left alone or isolated during sickness. Uddin Care UK provides a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week rapid response service to those who are isolated and reaching end of life or are in need of burial support. Since 2015, Uddin Care UK has assisted people with legal covers, Grenfell fire victims, people with end-of-life support, and people with burial support. Help us provide new Muslims with free legal advice, so new Muslims are not forgotten during their time of need. The greatest gift you can give someone is your time, love, and concern. Donate to Uddin Care's Muslim Burial Fund and perform that simple act of kindness. And continue to help your brothers and sisters from the cradle to the grave. Visit us at EdenCareUK.com. A simple act of kindness. Like, subscribe, and share this video.